Hey, it's Willie Crawford here, and I'm running just a little late, just a few minutes. But I'm going to give you folks a minute or two to join me. And as it indicates in the window, the chat window, today we'll be talking all about private label rights and using quality private label rights, not just any private label rights, but quality private label rights in your online business. So I'm going to tell you how I use them. I tell you how other people have used them, and just give you some tips and techniques, and also point out a couple of examples actually, and even recommend one package that you check out. All that's on tap for today. I am going to uh, allow a few more minutes for folks to join in. I started late, and I'm sure others are uh, running late too or busy doing things. It's 11 o'clock Eastern. Means a lot of people in the Eastern time zone are either focused on the hurricane or they're eating lunch. I see that Deborah Bailey has joined me. Hi, Deborah. How are you doing? And I'm sure that others will be joining us. You'll see me looking down every so often. What I'm doing is looking at my notes, actually. Craig Pierce has joined us. Why don't we go ahead and get started? So again, my topic for today is using private label rights in your online business, whether or actually use them on, even on your website. If you don't have a business, but you have like a personal website or something, that's fine too. And I see that William Snowden has joined us and Andrew Hayward. Uh, Now, private label rights are where somebody has created a product and they've generally sold it to you. In some cases, they even give it to you, and they give you permission to use it. They give you a license, and the license says how you can use it, how you can change it, what you can and can't do. But there are also laws governing private label rights, and those laws actually is one against price fixing. So when you buy a sort of private label rights, they can't specifically tell you what you have to charge for the product unless they license it to you. If they license it to you, they haven't sold you the product. They've licensed you to use their product. So that's sort of different. Hi, Joel. Good to have you join us too. And so you can get private label rights products from thousands of sources online, and they range in price from free to in the thousands of dollars. So I'm going to begin by just mentioning two private label rights products that I have that you can check out at your convenience. Uh, One of the things I've done since 2005, which I recently stopped doing, was I'm a joint venture broker, which means people come to me when they want to launch products and they ask me to help them out. And my biggest role is I go out and find people who are ideal for promoting their product launch, and I talk them and convince them to promote their product launch. Joe likes my shirt. This shirt now is called a Barong Tagalog. It's a formal shirt they wear in the Philippines. I last wore this when I was in the Philippines, I don't know, 2015. And they wear them at like formal ceremonies, fiestas, church things, weddings, things like that. So it's a dress shirt. Uh, but I've lost like 30 pounds since the last time I wore it. So I just wanted to see if it still fit. And it just something different. Um, Getting back to the private label rights, as a joint venture broker, I've hosted two live workshops where I charged $10,000 per person to attend. And these workshops, one was in Atlanta, one was in Las Vegas, Nevada. And they last for 5 days. And so in those 5 days, I taught people all about being a joint venture broker. And I recorded those. Uh, then as I neared the end of when I wanted to be out there actually putting together product launches and orchestrating them, uh, I looked at what other joint venture brokers were doing, and I came across a friend named Pat Flanagan. And Pat was at the time teaching what he calls the anti-launch formula. And Pat and I hung out together at a seminar. I think it was a warrior event. And we became friends, and we exchanged a lot of notes. We shared tips and techniques with each other. And I got a copy of his anti-launch formula. And I really liked it because with the product launch, what's typical is go out, recruit a bunch of joint venture partners, they call them, but they're really affiliates. And they all agree to promote your product during some window, anywhere from 3 days to 10 days typically. And during that time, I'll send out emails and do whatever, make videos and all those things, uh, promoting the product. And then after that, typically the product owner will actually pull the product off of the market, and then maybe plan on doing a relaunch later on. I actually don't care for those types of launches because what I've noticed happens is a lot of time after the launch is over, then a lot of people go and read their emails that have been accumulating, and they'll notice some product or service I recommended, and they'll click the link to try to order it, and they can't because it's off the market. So when I look at my statistics, I see that all the time, and that sort of drives me batty. I'm like, wow, I missed all these sales because the product owner wanted to create a lot of excitement around the event, so they set a very short window of opportunity for people to buy their product. When if they'd have made it longer or even made it evergreen, maybe raise the price after the launch period, but make the product evergreen, then people can still buy it if they want it. So anyway, my friend Pat, he came up with what he called the anti-launch formula, and I'm going to encourage you at your convenience to go check it out. Uh, and this is the URL I gave you. You will notice that there's a space I added before the .org. That space is because Facebook has a tendency to break up my links. So that link really is williecrawford.org/launch training. And what that product actually is I looked at Pat's product and I arranged to get a license for his product. I said to myself, I'd like to sell this product. And I said, but he already has a product that's very, very good. It's in-depth training in everything about doing a product launch from the early stages of planning all the way through to when the product's launching and you're trying to keep the joint venture partners all pumped up and excited and engaged. And so excellent training, excellent training. So I purchased a license for that and I sell that and I get to keep all the money. And I didn't pay that much for that license, but I've made probably 50 times what I paid for it. And hi, Ralph, who's joined us, and hi, Sandra, who's joined us. Sandra's a cousin. And so what I do is I go out and I purchase high quality products, and I purchase the rights to those products. If I really like the product, I go through the product from end to end, and a lot of them are fairly expensive. I mean, some you can buy licenses that'll cost you anywhere from the hundreds to the thousands of dollars if it's for the right product, but it gives you the right to do certain things with that product and sell it as your own. So if you buy a license for a product that sells for $1,000 a copy, you only need to make a couple sales to get your money back. So it's a business investment. But Pat Flanagan's anti-launch formula, which I gave you the URL to, is one product. I've been looking at another product recently, and that product is a private label rights newsletter. When I first looked at that, I'm thinking, I've been writing a newsletter since 1996 or 97, and I know how to write a newsletter. So I thought, well, why would I want to buy somebody else's newsletter and permission to print it? And my friend Neil, who wrote this out, I arranged to get a copy of his newsletter, and I was extremely, extremely impressed with it. So I'm going to show you that one too. And I just put the URL for that into the chat window. It's williecrawford.org. There's a space in the window. Before the .org, you need to back that out. And then it's PLR. PLR is all capital letter, and then newsletter. The N in newsletter is capital letter. And you're going to check that out. What you'll see is that my friend Neil, who's over in the UK, and I hung out with him at the same event that I hung out with Pat at, which was a warrior event, and he showed me a lot of what he was working on. His newsletter was, unlike a lot of private label rights products, he initially didn't create that to sell as a private label rights product. So it's thoroughly researched articles and some very, very good articles. I was reading a copy of his newsletter 2 days ago, and there's one article on about 12 ways to make money from a book that you write. We all know that you can write an ebook or a print book and roll it out, and it gives you credibility. You can leverage it, dozens of different ways. People think that because you're an author that there's something special about you, because most people don't think they can write a book, but actually it's not that difficult, as many of us know. I want to welcome Paul Guyon. He's joined us, and Daniel Swick. Thanks for joining us. Anyway, Neil's newsletter is the issue I looked at was 43 pages. Okay, hi, Sonia. It's 43 pages, and those 43 pages, he gives you in PDF format, and then he gives you what's known as a source files, which is basically a Word document. And you can go in and, well, first of all, you can take the PDF and use some software that he provides to brand it. And so what you do there is you get an affiliate link, and you can brand the PDF before you pass it out or distribute it. However, with your affiliate link, so that you earn a commission when somebody buys certain products recommended in the PDF. And thanks, Paul. You look good too. And hi, Sonia. You can take the PDF as is, but you can brand it as you download it from Neil's site, and then just by giving it away as your newsletter. And again, it's a very in-depth newsletter. It's not, one of these things you get in the emails every day that's one page and it's nothing but a sales pitch. Neil's, I was mentioning the article I was reading the other night, one of many articles, but it's talking about a dozen ways to take a book you've written and leverage it. And I won't get into all the ways, but his newsletter you can take any of the articles in that newsletter, you can break it up into blog posts, you can break it up into social media posts, you can distribute it as a PDF, you can distribute it, you can have it printed and distribute his newsletter, which you can also call a magazine if you'd like, as a print magazine. And that would be very impressive. In fact, I am planning on doing that next month. So I have a printer that I have a very good relationship with, and then we're in the same barter club. So I can get copies of a physical newsletter printed fairly inexpensively. And in fact, if he can quick turn my order, I will probably get some of the September issue of the newsletter. Neil releases a new newsletter once a month, but it's got so much content that you have enough to run with all month. I mean, you could take his newsletter, his PLR newsletter, and create 50 different pieces of content from it. Totally high quality content. In fact, what I'm going to encourage you to do is go check it out. I gave you the URL already. He get what he's selling it for. He has a monthly price, which is very, very reasonable. And then he's offering a trial period right now, where for just $1, you can download the latest issue. And the other thing he's doing is the newsletter comes in PDF and source file. So you get the Word document too, and you can do whatever you want with either one of those. But he also gives you an audio version of PDF audio, and that audio is an interview he did of a famous person in the internet marketing space. And it gives you the right to use that as your own, to claim it as your own, private label rights to it. So you can take that audio file, you can throw it in some program like Audacity, and you can add an introduction and an outro, closing, and you could just distribute that. You could play that as an audio podcast on any of a dozen different channels. You could stream it from your website or whatever, it's yours. But he also gives you the source files. So you can go in, and since it's an interview, he set it up where you can go in and instead of playing the interview, which one of his team members did, you can take the questions that his team member asked of the interviewee, and you can basically ask those questions yourself and record those, and then you just you put question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. So you've already got the answers recorded, and you just add in your self voicing the questions, and all of a sudden you have an audio interview. He showed you how to do that. It's not very difficult at all. It's like just editing a text document. But that's something that's rare, that's often. So I do encourage you to go over and check that out. And again, I gave you the URL, but I'll give it to you again, which is williecrawford.org/PLR newsletter. And because I honestly want you to check this product out, actually, I want you to get it. I'm going to give you an incentive to get it. On Tuesday of next week at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is a little late for my friends over in the UK. I realize that. Turns out in the Pacific, it's early morning, or about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's convenient for them, and I think it's convenient for my Aussie friends too. But it's very inconvenient for my friends in the UK, where it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I've done interviews before where I've heard people falling asleep with their mic keyed, and you heard them snoring, so I know how that is. So what I'm doing is I'm doing two things. This call I have on Tuesday of next week, I'm starting at 8 o'clock, and I've allocated 3 hours for this call. The purpose of the call is to allow you or any of the attendees to ask me any question that you brought about online marketing or building and growing an online business. I've done it all. I've created my own products. I've been an affiliate marketer. I've hosted a radio show. I've hosted seminars. I'm a trained platform speaker. I've coached and mentored people. I've hosted live workshops. I've released products in as ebooks, as physical books, as videos, as audios, as complete bundled packages. I've built lists. I built a database of over 1 million subscribers, and then when I went back and deleted the majority of the database because they weren't very responsive, and I was just paying a lot for the usage of the hosting platform. I had a lot of data, but the way I built the list, I put a lot of people on that list who weren't very responsive, and so it was not the best of lists, and I deleted a lot of it. So live and learn. And I did that back in the day when you could actually go out and even buy lists and legally just drop them into an autoresponder and communicate with them, and eventually work them into your regular list, get them to join your regular list rather than an autoresponder you set up. So a lot of my subscribers were gained that way. But the purpose of the call on the 10th, next Tuesday, is to allow you or anybody who purchases Neil's product to ask me any question you want. Again, I have some things I'll cover, but the idea is for the attendees, for anybody that registers for the webinar, this is going to start at 8 p.m. Eastern on the 10th. If you can't make it, not a problem. What you can do is once you register, I ask you to email me a copy of your receipt, and you can email that to me at willie.crawford@gmail.com. I think I've jotted that down somewhere, but it's Willie and then a period Crawford@gmail.com. Just email me your receipt, and what I'll do from there is I will send you a link to register for the webinar. That link will be unique to you. So when you log into the webinar platform will recognize you. And I have the capability of allowing you to come on and ask your question verbally, or you could just type it into a chat window. Either way is fine with me. But if you can't make it because of your location or because the time is inconvenient for you, you can email in your questions to me, and I'll double check to make sure that you're authorized to be on the call, and then I'll answer your question on the call, whether you're there or not. After the call, I'm going to have that call, however long it goes, I'll have it transcribed. So I'll have a PDF transcript, and I'll have the MP4 video. Hopefully it'll be more than just my face, but I'll have a video product, and I'll have the MP3 audio. I will give anybody who registers for the webinar, the requirement is that you purchase Neil's package. And once you purchase Neil's package, and that purchase can be the $1 trial he's currently offering even. So it's no major investment. But once you do that, I'm going to record this webinar I'm doing on the 10th, and I'm creating a product from that. And that's another thing is whenever you do any type of webinar or even a live presentation, I encourage you to record those because you can use those in 1,000 different ways. Now with the webinar I'm doing, I'll give you a license, and the license allows you to sell the product for any price that you choose. It also allows you to add the product to another product you're selling as a bonus. So if you're an affiliate and you're selling somebody else's product, you can throw it in there as a bonus. And you're also allowed to give the product away to someone as an opt-in ethical bribe. So the only way you can give it away is to require as a minimum an email address. So you can give it to somebody just for joining your list. But I do ask you not to devalue the product because there will be a lot of value in it. And I see Anthony's joined us and Lo Sharau has joined us. So welcome to both of you. Let me see what else I was going to cover today. I need to look at my notes because I'm, as usual, running on very little sleep. Again, check out the package I mentioned, which is Neil's package, which is a private label newsletter that you can use any way you want that's legal and ethical, such as creating a print magazine or an online magazine and selling it or giving it away. It's up to you. Or printing it as a print magazine and just a few copies or as many copies as you want. There's 1,000 different ways of doing that. And if you want to do that, you can actually reach out to me and ask me, where do I recommend that you have it printed? And I will, I'll point some sources out to you. Now, when I was promoting this call, I mentioned that a lot of the products that you see online, and especially in the internet market space, started out as private label rights products. I know of one guy a friend who a year or two ago released a software product. And what he did was he went out, noticed a piece of freeware, software that you could just download for free. And he said, wow, I like this. I like all the things it does. He reached out to the product creator and said, can you create a branded version of the freeware for me? Because I want to sell it. And the guy said, sure. So the guy created essentially a private label package, a branded, or some people call it white label, a branded version of software he was giving away for free. My friend then turned around, put together an elaborate launch, and offered the software for sale, I think, for $997. And there were people who were familiar with the other software who said this is the same product. And he said, and he pointed out there were some minor differences, mainly the name. But my argument there is he made the market aware. Probably 95% of his customers were not aware of that product existing in the first place in the other format. And so he brought the product to market. And to me, that justified to an extent him selling for whatever price he wanted to. That's capitalism. But I know several people who've created products that sell from $497 to $2,000 or $1997. We like to end prices in $7. And they started out with a private label rights product. What they did was they maybe purchased just a text version of something, and they handed it to their team members and said, here, create some videos and some audios, and maybe they renamed it or they gave it a fancy name of their own. They went out and they got some inexpensive graphic artist to create a cover design, and they set up a website. And lo and behold, some product that they may have purchased for as little as like $30 or $40, the rights to, they turned into a $497 to $997 product and rolled out. Lots of people do that, And what they're doing there is they're saving themselves a lot of time. They're shortcutting the process of having to go out, research a topic, write a product, spend months sometimes creating that product, and then recruiting joint venture partners to help promote that product and then rolling it out. And some of them that I know of have made, multiple six figures. Some have done over $1 million in sales from a product that was initially private label rights. It's all about, it's about two things. First of all, you need to deliver to your customer real value. You need to solve a problem in your customer's life so they're happy with the product. And so your joint venture partners are happy with the product, because if their customers aren't happy, then they're not happy. Their customers are not going to stop buying from them. So it has to deliver value into the lives of the customers. And my friend Yannick Silver teaches that, the product should deliver 10 times the value of whatever it's selling for, But even there, that's subjective. It's the person going to use the product. The product needs to work. And, that's the number one criteria for me. But I also believe that if you're going to start with a private label rights product, you need to make it unique. And so you give it your own name and you create your own graphics, and everything is branded to your brand. And then you make sure you go through the product very carefully and you make minor corrections, but you want to make sure that something you're putting your name on, is a good representative of you and your brand, because people are going to remember for years to come that they purchased one of your products. And, were they happy with it? If they're happy with it, they'll come back and buy from you over and over and over again. If they're not happy with you, they're going to remember that you sold them a crappy product that didn't work, And as far as taking, say, a text version of a product and creating a set of videos, that's easy to do. My friend, several of my friends just create a mind map of what the product teaches, and their video is them expanding and explaining the mind map. My friend Alex Jeffries over in the UK, for example, does that quite well. I mean, you look at it and it's a video, but the video is him explaining a mind map and just expanding various portions of the mind map, and, so he explains why he did this or why he did that. And you get a video, but it's just somebody talking. So a video doesn't have to be, you don't even have to be on screen if you don't want to be. Some people are comfortable with the way they look, or they say, hey, I am what I am, and unless I do some major plastic surgery, I'll always be what I am. And you get used to being on film anyway. You're you. So what's the big deal there? A lot of people aren't comfortable with their voices, especially if the person perhaps has an accent or they think they have a heavy accent. I know several marketers who roll out products in my space who do have fairly difficult, heavy accents. And quite frankly, there's one who, the first time I listened to his product, I'm thinking, I'm having trouble understanding this guy. So my customers aren't going to be happy with this product. But then as I listened to it for about 5 minutes, all of a sudden, his accent was very easy to comprehend. And once I got used to how he talked, I understood everything he was saying. So even there, you shouldn't let that hold you back, but you can always go out and hire a voice talent to voice, read your script, So that's really what I wanted to cover about private label products, is that they are a tremendous time saver. You don't need to spend months and months and months putting together a product. You can find something that you want to confirm the market wants. And the easiest way to do that is to look out there and see if somebody's already selling a product similar to what you're selling, see how it's doing. And look on someplace like Google and Google the keywords that describe the product and look to see whether other people are running paid ads, so Google AdWords ads, or they're running Facebook ads or whatever. If somebody's spending money to advertise a product, then the product's obviously selling. If they keep doing that, either that or the person's stupid and they're going to go out of business soon because they're advertising a product that's not selling and they're paying for it, so they're losing money. And so once you confirm that there's a market for it, then what I would do is look for ways to improve that product. What are shortcomings in the product that's already on the market? How can you improve it? And you make minor improvements, and then you roll your product out. It's better than what's on the market. So, and you point out how it's different, how it's better, and there's a subtlety to that, in that you don't go out and put down the other product. That's amateurish. Instead of doing that, you you mentioned that, there's competing products out there, but here's how my product's better. But you don't say, here are all the things that's wrong with the other product. That's, again, amateurish, and people, it ratchets you down in the eyes of your potential customers. They think, well, this person has to try to somehow convince me the other product's worse than theirs. And instead of just convincing me that their product's what I need, it solves my problem. And that's what it's all about, really, when you're a product creator, is identifying a pressing problem that your customers know they have and they want to solve, and then offer them a solution that works. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I am going to end by asking you to go over and take a look at my friend Neil's private label rights newsletter product. And if you get it, it's inexpensive as is. He has a monthly subscription where each issue is about 43 pages in the PDF format, but you can do whatever you want with it. You can brand it. You can take the text version of it and change it any way you want and make it your own, put your own ads inside and outside and your own links, and do whatever you want. With the audio version, you could take the audio, create a pin, just an introduction, an intro and an outro, and maybe throw some audio commercials in the middle, 2 or 3 of those. Charge somebody to run a commercial for them, and then run that over as a podcast. Or take these are audio interviews, so take the interview, you ask the question, then you append or paste in the answer, and then you ask the next question, and you paste in the answer, and then you ask the next question. And then somewhere there you say, well, we need to take a commercial break, and then you plug in an advertisement for one of your products, or an affiliate product, or a product that somebody's paying you to advertise, and all of a sudden you've got a podcast that is monetized, and then you either run it for any of a dozen podcast platforms, and you can have it on, iTunes and all those places very easily. There's no charge for that, and people around the world are all of a sudden hearing you, and you're gaining celebrity status and all those things. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, I'm going to encourage you to check out the PLR newsletter, because that's what I'm all excited about now, because I asked myself when I first heard the concept, how good can this be? But then when you go to the URL I just gave you, and again, I added an extra space before the .org so that Facebook wouldn't mess up my links. So you need to back that out. But you can look at a sample copy. You can download a sample copy of the newsletter and see for yourself how good it is. And then you can also just sign up for a $1 trial. So, there's absolutely no risk. And the subscription is on a month-to-month basis, so you can cancel it at any time too. If you have any questions, let me know. If you do get the newsletter, email me at willie.crawford@gmail.com with a copy of your receipt, and I'll get you on to the webinar. That's next Tuesday, again at 10 o'clock Eastern. If you can't make it, no problem. If you have questions that you want me to answer on the webinar, email those to me, and I'll make sure I fit them into the flow of the webinar. And I'll get you copies of the webinar recordings in the 3 different formats: audio, video, and a PDF transcript or a text transcript. And you can do with those whatever you want, as long as it's legal and ethical. I'll give you a license that tells you what you can and can't do with the product, okay? And I'll get that to you whether you attend the webinar, the live webinar, or you just register for it. And what I'll do is, after the webinar is over, I'll send out an email to everybody who registered saying, okay, here's how you access the recordings, and the recordings are your product, and here's what the license says you can do with those recordings. With that, I'm going to let you go and maybe get some work done like I need to do. I thank you for joining me. I ask you to share the recording to this Facebook Live. It'll take it 5 to 10 minutes probably before it's rendered properly on Facebook, and then you just click the share link and share it with your friends. And there are those who will benefit from it, especially the ones who are going to be a little shocked when they find out, hey, that course that I bought that was $4.97. While it was an excellent course, that person probably created it from a private label rights product that they bought for $50 or $100 or whatever. You know, it's that is all about finding a quality product and then adding your own DNA to it and making sure it works. It's accurate, but it doesn't have to take you more than a week or so to put together a product like that instead of months and months and months, and you roll it out as your own. So with that, I'm going to go and do some work, and I thank you again for joining us. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah.